everybody, happy Saturday. Today we're talking about how to curb your sugar cravings. So I'll let you guys start coming on. For those of you who know, I just got back last night from Texas, where I was filming on Merritt with Morning on Merritt Street. Hi everybody, hi, hello. Happy Saturday. Just getting myself some mushroom coffee. We're talking today about sugar cravings. I have a lot to cover. Hi everybody. Okay, let me move you back just a little bit. I want to start by, I'm going to do this in real time so you guys can kind of see. Hi Spain. I'm going to do this in real time so you guys can kind of see. This is Fiberline. I'm going to talk a lot about fiber because it's one of the best ways to combat sugar cravings. So I'm just going to put a couple of scoops in here. Look at how small this scoop is. I'm going to put a couple of scoops in this glass of water. This is just a demo for you guys to see what happens when we ingest fiber first. So I'm going to let this sit. Normally when you would take a fiber supplement like Fiberline, you would drink this right away. You see how you can see the soluble fiber in there? You can kind of see how that is, you know, it has some texture to it. It doesn't have any flavor, but when you drink this right away, it creates a mesh in your small intestines. And I'm going to let this sit here for a little bit, you guys, so you can see what I'm talking about. Whew, okay. Man, I'm tired today, you guys. I've been traveling way too much. Hi, everybody. Okay, let's get down to it. Because I didn't get to finish everything that I wanted to talk. I don't know what's going on with my hair today. It's post-travel hair. I didn't get to speak entirely about all of the different tips and tricks. Hi, Gina. Oh, my best friend just jumped on here. Hi, Jean. And so I wanted to get through all of those today. When we're talking about sugar cravings, the number one trick that I always tell my clients is that you want to start with fiber. Because fiber creates a mesh in our small intestines that slows down the way that sugar hits your bloodstream. So I never tell people like, hey, you know, you need to cut out all sugar because we gotta live, right? We gotta live and sugar tastes good. So, but how do we get off of this crazy roller coaster of spiking our blood glucose level, crashing our blood glucose level? It then causes us to be even hungrier than before. And when you're hungry like that, when you're in a state of your glucose is really in a decline and it makes you want to crave those same foods as that originally spiked it in the first place, it's fiber that is going to come to the rescue. So fiber is our friend. Fiber is our friend. Get that in your head. And newsflash, fiber is not found in meat. The supportive structure of meat is collagen. That's what gives it the scaffolding. Same with, human beings. Our supportive structure is collagen. But plants, the supportive structure is fiber. And you're going to see that the way that what fiber does, look at this. This is just a few minutes of this soluble fiber being in a glass of water. So what this does is it creates a mesh in the lining of the small intestines. So let me just break it down. What happens when you actually eat something? When you eat something, you chew it up. You've got digestive enzymes that even start in your mouth. It gets down to your stomach. You break it apart, right? When it gets into the small intestines, the glucose molecules actually get pulled through the lining of the small intestines. Now, when you're eating stuff like sugar, here, let me just reach for this real quick. When you're eating stuff like sugar, yes, this is on my counter. Guess what's also on my counter, available all the time? Raw nuts. And I'm gonna show you how to use things like this to change the way that the sugar actually hits your bloodstream. So when we're talking about fiber, look at this. I just want to show you guys once again, and it's going to continue to get more solid. Look at this. So this is the Fiberline. This is my particular my brand of soluble fiber that is great, and I usually put all of my clients on this. But when we're talking about, you know, what happens when you eat food, you chew it up, you digest it, it goes into the stomach, gets pulled apart, goes into the small intestines. When you're eating stuff like sugars, right? Carbs, starchy carbs, sugars, anything sweet, anything that's like, you know, as starchy carbs, potatoes, French fries, potato chips, anything like that, what we would consider highly processed junk food. That food in the very beginning, the first like couple centimeters of the small intestines, because there's no fiber in there, gets pulled through the small intestines very, very quickly. So fruit juices, things like that don't contain fiber, candy, donuts, cupcakes, potato chips, all of that kind of stuff, without doing a fiber first, it gets pulled through the small intestines at the very, very top, hey Carol, of the small intestines, the very, very beginning stages of the small intestines, and it gets pulled through into your bloodstream. Now, the quicker that happens, the more likely that food is to be stored as fat, and usually it's around the midsection. So when I work with clients who have that apple belly, you know, that just, this is where they put on weight, is around the midsection, I automatically think food. It is the food you're eating with the lack of fiber, too many sweets. Your body then, when it gets pulled into that bloodstream, it is overload, right? It's too much all at once. You drink a thing of orange juice, no fiber in it. All of that gets pulled through the lining of the small intestines too quickly. Insulin is then stimulated to produce insulin to like kind of, let's clear the blood out, right? Let's clear all of the sugar out of the blood. The easiest thing to do, your body does this, is to store it as fat. And it's usually around the midsection. So when I work with one-on-one with a client and they say, you know, I've tried everything, but I can't get rid of this belly, and I work out like a beast, I always ask them, take me through a full day of eating from the beginning, when you first start putting things in your mouth. Let's talk about that. And I have a lot of different clients as well that like around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, they have this crash that happens, and that's when they start reaching for junk food. And I always tell them, let's look back at what you ate 2 or 3 hours previously, because that is going to really cause your sugar cravings and your carb cravings to go through the roof if you have spiked your blood glucose level with what you're eating, let's say for lunch. So the order in which you eat food is going to make a big difference. And if you can understand the role of fiber in food, when we digest things, if you can understand the role of fiber, you're going to change your order of eating. It's going to make more sense. So if you can understand the how and the why, the healthy aging hacks are going to come more naturally, and you're going to be able to implement them. And I always talk about this. Have you ever bought like a bottle of vitamins and then you knew what you were buying it for? You knew what you were doing when you bought it, right? But years later, you're like, why am I taking L-carnitine again? Why am I taking L-theanine? What is this for again? If you can understand what the purpose of, when we're talking about how you eat your food and how it spikes your blood glucose level, if you can understand the how and the why, you're never going to unlearn it. You're never going to unlearn it. So this is a soluble fiber. This is Fiberline. You can get this off my website, Live Young Lifestyle, or you can go to shop.liveyounglifestyle.com. All my supplements are there. But I only want to show you this as the demo of what happens when you eat fiber. So if you're somebody who says, God, I really need to control my cravings. My sugar cravings are through the roof. There's nothing I seem to be doing. Start with fiber. So if you can do a fiber supplement about 15 minutes prior to eating, it's going to create that mesh in the small intestines that slows down the way that the sugar hits your bloodstream. Look at that. That's all soluble fiber. And I can tell you, like, when we're looking at an orange, like somebody who peels an orange and eats an orange, You've got all of that fiber in the orange. If you took 300 calories, let's just make it like an even number. If you took 300 calories of orange juice, no pulp, and 300 calories of orange slices. Again, calories are not, 1 calorie doesn't equal another calorie when we're talking about implementing fiber into the diet, because it slows down the way that that is digested. And it doesn't slow your metabolism. It slows down the way that that sugar hits your bloodstream, making it far less likely to be stored as fat, which is usually around the middle of your body. So we want to start with a glass of, if you can, a glass of water with a fiber supplement about 15 minutes prior to a meal. Anything that you eat after that is going to slow down the way the sugar hits the bloodstream. But when we're talking about, like, you know, you're going out to lunch or you're having dinner and you have a full plate of food. I didn't really do a prep today in terms of, like, you know, how to do a full plate of food, because I just got home last night, but I did that on air on that morning on Merritt Street. So you can go to, I think it's meritplus.com and watch that episode for free. That aired on, is it Friday? No, it aired on Thursday. Yeah, it aired on Thursday. So you can go to the Thursday and watch that for free, and it'll show you that plate. So here's the thing. You get a plate of food, right? You make a plate of food. You've got a chicken breast, you've got some broccoli, you have some mashed potatoes. What normally happens, without me coaching, what normally happens is people eat the meat and potatoes first because it's hot, because it tastes good, because it's satisfying. But if you just paused for a second and ate all of the vegetables first, those vegetables, like I said, fiber does not come in meat. Fiber comes in plants. It's the supportive structure of plants. So if you eat all of the vegetables first, you eat all that broccoli first, all those carrots first, all of that first, you're creating that mesh in the lining of the small intestines that's slowing down the way that anything that you eat after that hits your bloodstream. The slower we can have that pull in through that small intestines and hit the bloodstream, the less likely it's going to be stored as fat, the more even that blood glucose level is going to be. And what happens when you create a more stable blood glucose level is you don't have those spikes and those crashes. And it's during those crashes that our body then says, let's eat more, because our blood sugar is low, and it's not telling you to eat broccoli. When you're in that state where your blood glucose level is low and you know, oh, I want to eat something, your body is going to tell you, what is the highest sugar thing? What is the highest thing that I can get for energy? So when your blood sugar level crashes, you're going to crave sugars, you're going to crave starchy carbs, you're going to crave all of those highly processed foods, because that is the quickest way that we get nutrients into our body. They might be empty calories, but they're still calories. And so we tend to try to, you know, when we're in that state of like, oh my God, it's 3 o'clock, it's 4 o'clock, I'm very hungry. We want to reach for those sweet things, right? We're not reaching for vegetables at that point. I have some tricks on how to combat that, but how the order in which you eat your food is super important. So if you had a full plate of food, what you want to eat first is all of the vegetables, every single vegetable first before you touch anything else, because we're creating, again, that mesh in the intestines, right? That's what the purpose of eating the vegetables first is, to create that mesh. So all the vegetables first, then you move on to the meats and healthy fats. So you'd have like the chicken breast or whatever healthy meat that you're having and protein that you're having. Protein comes in everything. Protein is in vegetables. You don't necessarily need to eat meat, but you want to eat all of those vegetables first. Then you move on to those protein and healthy fat. Next is the starchy carbs like potatoes or rice, French fries, anything like that goes after you've eaten your good protein source, which is a meat or tofu or anything like that. Next, after those starchy carbs, you have the fruit, if necessary. Not everybody has fruit after dinner, but that's where you would add any fruit, and then you would have dessert. So it's in that order. I'm going to go over it again. All the vegetables first, Then meats and healthy oils, followed by starchy carbs like potatoes or rice, followed by any fruit if that's what you're having, followed by that dessert. When you eat it in this order, the way that it happens is you're creating this mesh with the vegetables. So by the time that you get to that fruit and the dessert, it's slowed down the way that that ends up going into your bloodstream. One of the worst things that you can do for your body, as somebody says, tips to not overeat healthy sweet treats and stick to one serving. I have vegetable proteins beforehand. I'm going to get to that. Yeah. Yes, we're gonna go over all of that stuff because our signals in our body changes as we get older. So if you ever notice, like there's a lot of stuff that happens for midlife women when you start gaining weight. Yes, it's hormonal. Yes, there's a lot of thyroid issues that happen when you're older. Menopause is a bitch. I'm in the middle of it. 56 years old, you guys. So I am menopausal. Not hot and flashy because I am on hormone replacement therapy, but all of that stuff adds up. There's lots of tricks that we're going to go over to stop that before it starts. That sugar crash, you guys, we want to stop it. Our first line of defense is you prevent it, right? It's like Botox. You prevent the wrinkles before you have to actually treat them. The same thing is for sugar. You want to prevent those sugar spikes with fiber, right? You want to prevent that first. It'll also help you eat a lot less, right? Because it's filling up your body with bulk. It's filling up your stomach with bulk. So you'll eat a lot less if you start with your vegetables first. And I don't mean take a bite of vegetables. I mean, finish your plate. Another way to do that is you can, if you're out to dinner, you can do a vegetable starter like asparagus or Brussels sprouts or anything like that. But the easiest way, besides doing a fiber supplement, the easiest way is to start with a salad. If you can start each meal with a salad, and in particular, if you can do a little bit of a oil and vinegar, because vinegar also helps to combat those sugar cravings. But if you can start with a salad, and I don't mean a side salad, that salad has to be front and center and finished first, because that's how you're going to get that mesh in your small intestines. If you only did that, your metabolic health is going to be better. If you only did that, you're going to notice that your cravings are not going to spike after you've finished a meal. And you can tell if you have not layered your food right, or if you've eaten something that's a little bit too, your blood sugar level is going to spike. You can tell around 2 or 3 hours later. If you're hungry after a big meal 2 or 3 hours later, you're not preventing that blood glucose level spike. And when we keep a more even, steady blood glucose level, we're going to have better metabolic health. We're going to have healthy weight management. We're not going to have all the sweet stuff that we're craving. So it's super important. I'm going to go over that order one more time, and then we're moving on. You want to start with fiber. It can be a fiber supplement, which is an easy way to do it. Listen, the Olympics are on, and I'm doing some late night snacking myself. But last night, my daughter made a piece of cake, and anything that my daughter makes or bakes, I'm going to have to try because it's my daughter. What I did is I snuck into the kitchen, and I added a scoop of fiber to a glass of water and down that first. And so the cake that she made hits my bloodstream a lot slower. So again, fiber first, fiber supplement is the easiest way, or start with a side salad. Make that side salad front and center and finish all of it. When your plate comes in a restaurant or when you're about to sit down to eat, you want to eat all the vegetables first. Clean your plate of the vegetables first. Then you have the healthy meats and healthy oils, followed by starchy carbs, followed by any fruit, followed by the dessert. If you eat them in that order, you're going to create a more stable blood glucose level, okay? So fiber is our friend. Fiber is our friend. I was asked the question, what are some good full fiber foods to start with? Like, again, the easiest is a fiber supplement, but anything that is a vegetable, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, those are really great. Those hard vegetables are really great because they're full of fiber, but fiber is in every vegetable, fibers in avocados, fibers in carrots, in any vegetable that you can name. That is the structural support of the vegetable. It is fiber. It's what gives it that, allows it to grow and gives it that structure. So any sort of vegetable is going to create this mesh in your small intestines and help with your metabolic health, help with future sugar cravings, 2 or 3 hours later, slow down the way that sugars and all those processed stuff hits your bloodstream. And it's going to help with that healthy weight management and really reduce that belly fat. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, so there's a lot of tricks that are out there as well in terms of how do you flatten that glucose curve. Like I said before, when you're doing a salad, if you can do anything with vinegar, and just a simple balsamic vinegar or a simple, oil and vinegar dressing, it's 2 to 1. So it's 2 parts oil. So you do, a cup of olive oil with a half a cup of any sort of vinegar. Red wine vinegar, any sort of vinegar is going to help with the metabolism of that sugar and that equilibrium, that balance of that sugar in your system. So if you have a choice of dressing and you're starting off with your salad that is now front and center and you're going to finish it first, if you're doing that, you want to do and you really want to help with those cravings even more to compound all of those type of hacks and treatments, then you're going to start with you're going to have a drizzle of that olive oil and a really good vinegar on top of any salad starter or any veggie starter. And there's a lot of research that says apple cider vinegar. You guys, there's this hack where you do like a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in a glass of water. Can anybody out there do that? To me, it just brings back, it's almost like a gag reflex. It brings back Easter egg dye, because my family goes camping every year and we dye Easter eggs. I grew up doing it. And there is a certain smell with that vinegar, right? So anytime when I try to down a big glass of water with like a tablespoon of vinegar in it, I can't do it. For those of you who can, that is a really good hack. The water alone is a good hack, you guys, because our body often mistakes thirst for hunger. We think we're hungry. We think we're hungry, but we're actually thirsty. And guess what? Those signals of whether we're hungry or we're thirsty get less specific, less strategic, less a connection as we get older. That's why you see a lot of older people being hospitalized for dehydration, because that signal from the brain telling us that we need to drink water diminishes with age. It diminishes with age. So we need to force ourselves when we get older to drink our water before we reach for that sugary or salty snack, because we want to make sure, is that really what my body is wanting? Am I really wanting something to eat, or am I just dehydrated and I'm thirsty and my body is telling me I need to consume something, but it's not specifically telling me I need to consume water? So I always start with a big glass of water. Now, if you can do that with a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, have at it, because that's going to also help with that metabolizing of that sugar, and it's going to help that not have those glucose spikes in your blood. So if you can do that, that is a really good hack. And there's a lot of studies that show that when you consume with a meal that's high in carbohydrates, apple cider vinegar increases insulin sensitivity by 19 to 34%, and it lowers blood glucose and insulin responses. So there's a lot of research about apple cider vinegar or vinegar in general. So anytime you can do that, it's going to help with that whole sugar craving. And when we talk about sugar cravings right now, we're talking about the sugar cravings that are going to happen. We have not yet addressed what happens if you're wanting something right this second, right? And what can you do to prevent that? And I'm going to give you some healthy alternatives. But right now, we know that what we eat and how our body regulates that sugar, whether it spikes and whether it drops, is going to really affect our sugar cravings in about 2 or 3 hours. And when I say sugar cravings, I'm not only talking about candy and cake, I'm talking about all processed carbs that get converted to sugar in your body. So anything that's processed, all processed, highly processed carbs, any starchy carbs, anything like that, it's still going to have a spike in your blood glucose level. So if you can head that off at the pass with the way that you layer your food when you eat it, starting with all the vegetables, or you add a fiber supplement, it's really going to help. Having that water as well, drinking a full glass of water. So let's say you came, you know, it's 3 o'clock and you're like, man, if I just want like a handful of M&Ms, just going to really hit that craving right now. I want you to drink a full glass of water first and let it sit there for 15 minutes. Even if you don't add a fiber supplement, even if it's just plain water and it doesn't have all this fiber in it, this is always better. Look, you can see it's just getting more gelatinous. It's getting more and more thicker in here. Anytime that you want to just, if your brain is like, oh, I really want this right now and it's right in front of me, drink a full glass of water, walk away for a second. Just walk away for a second, right? Pound that water, go out for a walk, go sit somewhere, do some movement, anything that you can do to like get out of that moment of, I want to have this right here and right now. Let your body determine, am I really hungry or am I thirsty? Am I really hungry or am I thirsty? Somebody just asked, do you count total sugars or just add sugars per day? And how much sugar do you aim for less than 20 grams? If you're, listen, I'm not one, I've been doing this a long time, and I can tell you that when you start counting anything, your obsession with food is going to be more. When you start counting anything, when you're counting calories, when you're counting the grams of proteins, when you're counting, you know, the only thing you should be counting is the number of vegetables that you're eating a day, the number of different types of vegetables, and then you just layer it the way that I just talked about, all your veggies first. Yes, you want to get under 20, I think it's under 16 grams of sugar per day. But when you're looking at all of these labels, if you're looking at a label on a food product, it's probably processed. Think about that. If you're looking at a label on a food product, it's probably processed. There's no label on broccoli. There's no label on an apple. If you're looking and you're seeing the content of the calories of sugar, you're starting off, you know, taking 3 steps backwards. Because I guarantee you, it's all of a sudden the food is going to be, oh, I'm going to start looking at all these labels. I'm going to start looking at all these labels. It's better if you eat food that doesn't have labels on it. Right? When was the last time they did a commercial for like green beans? We're bombarded with all of this stuff. And now that we have the, you know, social media and the internet, it's like, it's just, everybody thinks that they know the right way to eat because everybody eats, so everybody has an opinion about eating. Not everybody lifts weights, so you can like literally, you know, people that like lift weights or the trainers that lift weights, that's what they went to school with. Everybody thinks they have a degree in nutrition because we all eat. They know everybody knows what's best. I'm telling you, if you just stopped looking at the labels and just added in all the food that doesn't have labels, you're going to lose a lot of weight. That is so true. Eat no labeled food. If you can eat predominantly, and listen, you guys, processed food is good. Sugared food is good. It tastes good for a reason. We want it for a reason. But if you can stop looking at the labels and just start eating real food, whole foods that don't have a label, that they're not marketing to us, that's where the real sweet spot is. So yeah, you want under 16 grams of sugar a day. You know that most people get that when they're just sweetening their coffee. Most people get this before it's even been lunchtime. That's why I say, like, just stop looking at the labels when it comes to sugar. Start eating stuff that you know is whole foods. If you're really wanting, I had like a whole thing of like fruit, and I'm exhausted today, you guys. I didn't really get all of my props, but if you're really wanting something sweet and you've already drank your whole glass of water, you've taken a fiber supplement, you've taken your fiber supplement, or you're drinking your glass of water, you've removed yourself from the situation, you went out and you started moving, you went on a walk, you still want that piece of cake, or you still want that, that processed food, then go for it. You guys, there's a reason why this is on my countertop. This is my arch nemesis. This is my thing at the end of a meal, that if I want something sweet, I will do like this is like a healthy, more organic, good and plenty. But listen, I eat sugar. How could you not eat sugar? Life is short. We want to enjoy ourselves, right? But you want to have control over that. You don't want to be sugar's bitch. You just don't. You don't want things to be out of your control. If your cravings are out of control, we got a problem. And you got to look at, like, what have you been eating that is making those sugars go in your body up and down and up and down. Because what happens is, wish I had a pen, but I don't. I do. What happens when this is what we're doing today, you guys. It's a miracle. I'm on an Instagram live today after I've been traveling so much. But I would not do that to you guys. I would not just flake. Okay, here's our baseline. Let's say this is our baseline. When we eat something, and we start here, okay? Let's say we start at this X. When we eat something that spikes our blood sugar level, like as if I were to eat this, or really even there's a lot of different things. But let's say I eat this on an empty stomach. I don't have fiber in my body. I didn't start with a fiber. I didn't start with vegetables. I just it's midday. I'm just going to come by and grab a handful of that. This is what happens. Your blood sugar level will spike, and then it will go down a couple hours later below where it was before. Below where it was before. This causes us to immediately want to reach for sugars because we're already at a deficit. So when you're down here, your body is not saying, let's get broccoli, which is slow to digest and is better for our microbiome and is going to take time to go slowly down the small intestine, slowly. It takes a little bit at a time, all the way down and even landing in the large intestines when you're talking about fiber. Fiber will land in the large intestine. So any vegetable that you are eating, that's what feeds those good gut bacteria, that good microbiome. It's vegetables. It's plants. Microbiome is not eating meat. They're not doing that. They're eating, it needs those vegetables. And that has to take time to get all the way down to the large intestines. When you're in this state, your brain is not telling you to eat broccoli. Your brain is telling you to eat crap to get this back up. So this starts that whole roller coaster. This is not metabolic health. This is not good metabolic health. This is setting you up for craving stuff afterwards, 2 or 3 hours after you've eaten. You're still wanting to eat. Well, first of all, I wish this wasn't my only demo. This wasn't my only prop today, but this is what I got right in front of me. That and the nuts, that's what I have right in front of me. But when you're eating stuff like this, you're setting yourself up, right? When you're not doing the stuff before, you're setting yourself up for just a mess of cravings throughout the day. Now, I do have a product called Crave Control. I'm going to go over that in a little bit, but there's a lot of different stuff that we can do as well. Lemon juice. If you're not somebody that is big on the apple cider vinegar, which I'm not, tastes like Easter eggs to me. Somebody just asked, hold on one second. I'm curious, why do you have the candy in your kitchen? Because I really like it. This is one of my favorite candies. So it's not that I deprive myself. If you deprived yourself for your entire life, there's going to be a time when you just break down. I know because I've been there before. when you just break down, you're like, you know what? I'm like, my diet is so strict. There's no way that I'm going to be able to maintain this. So don't, when I talk about stuff like this, and you know, I know that this is not for everybody, but like find out, tell me what your thing is. Is it cookies? Is it ice cream? Is it cake? Is it a donut? Whatever it is, whatever your thing is, that's your favorite thing. If it's your favorite thing, I would never tell you don't ever have it. That's not a way to live. But how can you, through science, be smart about when you consume it, how you consume it, understand what it does to your body? Don't completely deprive yourself, but I guarantee you, if you start out with fiber, and this is at the end of a meal, this is not going to spike my blood glucose level that much, because I have a belly full of fiber, tons of vegetables. I've eaten the protein. I've eaten all of that stuff. I've got to the starchy carbs. I've done all of that. If I want to have a handful of this at the end of a meal, after my belly is like this isn't going to be as detrimental, not even close, as if I grazed by midday with an empty belly. That is completely creating this nightmare of a glucose roller coaster. So I would never say, plus I'm not the only one that lives here, but I would never say don't ever have your favorite junk food, or don't ever have your favorite candy, or your favorite whatever it is, that thing that you crave. Just be smart about it. And what you're going to find is you're going to eat a lot less of it. You can have handfuls of junk throughout the day, but if you've done all of this stuff first, a lot of what I coach is, what can you get done first? Because there's all of those hazards and detours that happen along the way. Working out in the morning, making sure you're getting the morning sunlight, making sure you're getting hydrated with green tea, like all of this stuff, get it in early. How you set your body up with what goes first makes a giant difference. So I'm never gonna not have stuff like this in my kitchen, but the way that I consume it is very mindful, science-based, mindful, trying to keep my blood glucose level stable, but still being able to enjoy those things that I really love. Somebody said, I eat in that order, think high cortisol is contributing to my cravings. Absolutely. Everything's connected, girl about town. Everything is connected. So your sleep your sleep is going to influence your sugar cravings. Because if we're sleep deprived, guess what? Our body's not telling us we need a carrot. When we're sleep deprived, our body is not telling us, you know what, let's have some Brussels sprouts. We're so tired, I think I need Brussels sprouts. That doesn't happen. When your body is so tired and you're sleep deprived, or your cortisol levels, your stress level is so high, what we're craving is that quick fix because we feel like crap. We feel like crap and we think, oh, our body's just, I just want to eat. I just got to get something in, We make very poor choices when we're sleep deprived. We make very poor choices when we have high cortisol levels. Very poor choices in food, right? Can we delay that gratification? Can we delay this gratification and do it in a smart way where I still get to have this at the end of a meal after I have loaded it with fiber, I've loaded it with a wide variety of vegetables. Like I said, if you want to count anything, count the number of diverse vegetables you consume per day. And I mean plant-based, so it doesn't have to be vegetables, nuts, seeds, anything like that. The number of different types, because that's also going to feed your gut microbiome. I talked about this in a whole live on gut microbiome. And so we want to make sure we're getting a variety of different plant-based foods. So if you can do all of that, have your water, making sure you're starting with a salad starter that becomes front and center, and that's the main part of your meal. I microdose my meat, you guys. My main part of my meal is not meat. It is vegetables. It is plant-based. There is so much research out there that a predominantly plant-based, I'm not saying get rid of meat, predominantly though, predominantly plant-based is going to help with a lot of different stuff. Not only sugar cravings, it's going to help with that the microbiome and the diversity of your microbiome and your overall health, right? Your overall health. But yeah, high cortisol levels, girl about town, make a giant difference. Make sure you go back and look at that live show I did on stress reduction. We did I did a whole live show on stress reduction. It is amazing how everything is connected. Everything is connected. Sleep is connected to how you eat. I'm just going to scroll through here a little bit, see if I missed anything. What do you think of an anti-spike pills from Sugar Goddess? I think they're great, but look at what's in them. You can do the same thing with vinegar, right? Yeah, there's other stuff in there. I think that they're great. I haven't tried them, but the concept makes, the science behind it makes sense to me. And that was from the glucose goddess, not Sugar Goddess, but the glucose goddess, yeah. Can't get your supplements over here in Australia. No, it's really hard to ship supplements to other countries. There's lots of red tape, so I'm sorry. Hold on one second. Are all your vegetables organic? You can go to ewg.org. Predominantly, yes, but you don't need to, you do not need to only buy organic, right? You can get stuff at farmer's market that's organically grown. It doesn't necessarily have to have that stamp. And then you can go to ewg.org, and that will give you the Dirty Dozen, those 12 fruits and vegetables that no matter what, you really should not buy unless they're organic, because they're more detrimental than they are helpful to your health. Blueberries is up there. I have blueberries every single day, but I have it in my freezer. I have a frozen bag of organic wild blueberries. Those are one of those fruits that you don't want to eat unless you can find it organically grown, because they're so heavy in pesticides and herbicides and anti-mold and all different kinds of stuff. So if you go there, there's also a Clean 15, ewg.org, Clean 15, which are those 15 fruits and vegetables that you can buy commercially farmed, because it's the pesticides and herbicides and all those chemicals are not taken up into the flesh of that fruit. Yeah, I think I did. I don't know if I did a live show on organic versus non-organic. I thought I did, but I do have one coming up on our toxic load, and I will talk about it then. I don't know what my hair is doing today, you guys. Sorry. I will do a live show on that as well. So lemon juice, lemon acid is very similar in terms of the vinegar. So it does help. It slows down that carb conversion. So the acid in lemons can help slow down the conversion of carbohydrates into sugar, which can help prevent, those spiking of those of that blood glucose level, and it keeps a more stable blood glucose level, which helps with those sugar cravings. So you can add, I do this a lot, you guys, in the winter. I'll have a whole thermos and usually a bigger thermos, a thermos of hot water, and I just squeeze a lemon in it and throw in the carcass of that lemon, the carcass. It's from Beverly Hills. The Beverly Hills Housewives person, Dorit, I think, says throw the carcass in. But it's the lemon, the rind and all of that stuff, the peel. You can throw that into a glass of hot water in the winter. And I really like that in terms of stabilizing that blood glucose level, and it helps with digestion as well. And then the lemon juice, you can squeeze that over anything. So you can squeeze that over your salad, squeeze that over your meal, over all of your, I literally every day when I have dinner will squeeze like a quarter of a lemon on whatever I'm eating, because it does help with all of those sugar cravings as well. Okay. So if you're dying for a sweet treat, what is the alternative? I'm just going to grab this plate of fruit right here. If you're dying for a sweet treat and you're like, I'm going for it, then you've already taken your fiber, you've already drank your water to make sure that you're not thirsty instead of hungry, then the lesser of two evils would be to Gosh, I need to go to the grocery store. I literally just got home. But to grab a piece of fruit. This is the time when you want to, like midday, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, you've done what you're supposed to be doing. You still feel like, gosh, I still want something sweet. Opt for a piece of fruit first. Yes, it has fructose in it. Yes, it's still going to be, it's not as great as having a salad, but it's the lesser of two evils. And it's the same thing when it comes to when you're craving potato chips. If you're one of those people that you've craved potato chips and you're at that point in that day where it's like, this is my potato chip time. Have your fiber first. Drink your water first. Go out on a walk first. Do that stuff first. Look back at what you ate for lunch 3 hours earlier. What did I have that could have spiked that's now making me crave my salty stuff? When you get to that point where you're like, I've done everything right, I still want my potato chips. Opt for the lesser of two evils and do like a salted nut, because it's the fiber in the nut that's going to slow down the way that carbohydrate goes into your bloodstream. So better metabolic health, less cravings later on. So you opt for that lesser of two evils. Now let's say you've had your fiber, you drank your water, you went out on a walk, you had your salted nuts, and you still want some potato chips. Do it. Then do it. If that's your thing, then do it. But you're going to eat a lot less of them if you do it that way. If you do it that way. And somebody said, I eat sliced cucumbers and tell myself it's potato chips. I love that. Squeeze a little lemon on that too. Squeeze a little lemon on those cucumbers. It's going to help with all of those cravings and help you metabolize sugar better. Okay, so let's keep going. There's some research too on grapefruit, squeezing grapefruit in water if you've got potato chip cravings, if you have salt cravings, to take a full glass of water, squeeze some grapefruit in it. That also helps. Some of the research says that. So let's keep going. What happens if you are, elbow deep in a bag of Doritos and you didn't do that other stuff first? You didn't have your fiber first. You did not drink a full glass of water. You didn't eat vegetables first. And you find yourself watching the Olympics and you're like elbow deep in that bag of Doritos. Our knee-jerk reaction, and listen, you guys, it happens to me too. I'm not perfect. I do all this stuff first, but I still will have potato chips. I'm just going to eat a lot less of them because I got a belly full of fiber, of colorful vegetables, and I'm hydrated. So I don't think anybody should deprive themselves, should have popcorn instead of the chips. Popcorn is a better alternative. That's what I mean by lesser. Angela, that is a really great alternative to potato chips. If you could do a lightly salted popcorn that you make at home. I don't mean movie theater popcorn, but popcorn that you make at home. Hopefully that's organic, because there's a lot of pesticides in corn. But if you do an organic, I do an Amish popcorn. I get it on Amazon, and I get a lot of different varieties. So I have purple popcorn and black popcorn and rainbow popcorn and all of that kind of stuff. And I love that. That is a lesser of two evils. If you're going to have potato chips or something salty like that, to have popcorn instead, you're getting a lot more fiber than you are from those potato chips. Make sense? Does that all make sense, everybody? Okay, so when you are elbow deep in that bag of Doritos, or you have accidentally tripped and stumbled and found yourself face planting into a quart of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, it happens. If that happens, our normal tendency is to punish ourselves. And we punish ourselves by saying, well, there's two different things that happen. You say, F it, and you finish off whatever it is that you're eating. And then you punish yourself the next day by not eating a lot. This is horrible for your metabolism. Horrible for your metabolism. When you find yourself falling into that quart of Ben & Jerry's ice cream or elbow deep in those Doritos, we punish ourselves. We tend to punish ourselves, and we're like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm not going to eat anymore. I'm not going to eat anymore. Let me put this away. Wash the Cheeto dust off my hands or whatever. That's the worst thing that you can do. because then you've left your belly full of processed food without the fiber there to slow it down. Immediately reach for fiber. Immediately. Even with, you've got a belly full of Doritos, reach for fiber. Reach for fiber. It's still going to help. It's still going to slow that down. Yeah, there is a layering that happens, but digestion also happens, and sometimes things get mixed up. You do want to do the fiber first and get all that down there, but if you have already got a belly full of Doritos, immediately reach for fiber. So you can do a fiber supplement. Again, you guys can find this on shop.liveyounglifestyle.com. This is a really amazing soluble fiber that's a higher level soluble fiber. It's great for your microbiome, great for digestion, and it's very, very simple. You just put, this is 2 little tiny scoops of that into this glass of water, and this is what happens. And this creates that mesh in the small intestines, the lining of the small intestines, that slows down the way those Doritos or that Ben & Jerry's ice cream hits your bloodstream. Better metabolic health, less cravings, and it just slows it down. So whether you get this in first, which is ideal, or you get it in afterwards, it doesn't matter. You can grab, and listen, I know once you've eaten ice cream, a salad is not where your head is, right? That is a hard transition to go from ice cream to now, oh my gosh, I ate all that ice cream, I'm gonna have a salad. That's hard, but what's easier is to grab a handful of like raw almonds or raw nuts, because it's particularly almonds help to regulate blood sugar level, and you're looking at all of this fiber from the nut that's going to slow down the way that Ben & Jerry's hit your belly. It's going to slow down the way that it hits gets processed and hits your bloodstream. So reaching for like a handful of raw nuts when you've found yourself already with ice cream in your stomach is a really great way to still slow that down. The last thing you want to do is not eat anything. And then the next day, you're not eating anything. Or you're eating less. That's the last thing that you want to do. You want to immediately add fiber. For me, the easiest way to do that when I trip and fall, or let's say I'm at somebody's home and they bring out this elaborate dessert that they made themselves, I'm not going to say no. People put time and effort, and there is a community, just a sharing of from one human being to another of nurturing and nourishing somebody else. When you go to somebody's house for dinner, when I go to somebody's house for dinner, even though I'm super strict about my diet when I'm at home, I say super strict, I'm strategic about my diet at home. But when I'm at somebody else's home, I'm never going to not ingest what somebody has prepared for me. And so I have found myself with a massive dessert in my stomach and not enough fiber because of, I wasn't in control of what I was eating at that particular meal. And I will immediately come home and have a scoop of Fiberline in water, or preventatively before I go out to eat or before I go to a friend's house. This is my go-to. I literally will do this every single time because I won't be able to necessarily control the order in which I eat the food or what is presented to me at that time. So heading it off at the pass is literally the smartest way. But if you have accidentally found yourself elbow deep in those bag of Doritos, immediately eat fiber. We want to add. By adding stuff to your diet like that, you crowd out the bad. Is that better than digestive enzymes? Is what better? Fiber is better in terms of your whole metabolic health. I do have let me see if I can, I'll move this a little bit. I'll take you guys with me. I do have a product called Easy Digest that has digestive enzymes that's really good in terms of if you've got belly bloat, right? There's a lot of people that when they eat something, they get just, oh my God, my belly is bloated, or you feel overly full. Easy Digest is a really good product for that because this is digestive enzymes. But when we're talking about metabolic health and sugar cravings, this isn't it. Fiber is it. Or crave control, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. This works with neurotransmitters, nourishes those neurotransmitters in your brain that are responsible for those cravings. So this is a really great product. Again, you can find that on shop.liveyounglifestyle.com. It's also in my linked tree. So yeah, immediately reach for fiber. That's not like, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like normally when we do that, when we eat something bad, we just ate a candy bar, that is the last thing that we think of, right? We punish ourselves. Oh my gosh, I can't eat this again. I ate that yesterday. I got to really not eat a lot today. Worst thing you can do for your metabolism, immediately add that fiber because you want your body to still be processing that food, to still be working, right? Add the fiber in there to slow it down. For those of you who are always, you're looking for, you're one of those that counts the grams of sugar and you're always looking for, what kind of sugar is not going to spike my blood glucose level? I'm going to tell you, do not go down that path. Don't go down that rabbit hole. It is not going to end up well. It just isn't. You guys, they hide sugar in everything. Don't go down that path. Don't look for, which sugar should I do? What about honey? What about agave? What about sugar is sugar is sugar. Your body does little to differentiate between the sugar in a glass of orange juice and the sugar in an orange crush soda. If you had 100 calories of orange juice and 100 calories of orange crush soda, guess what? Your body reacts the same. It still spikes your blood glucose level. And although you're getting the vitamin C with the orange juice, it's horrible for your metabolic health. Horrible for your metabolic health. Anything that you are juicing, yes, honey is the same. Now, honey has other properties to it, so I don't want to sugar is sugar is sugar in terms of the sugar molecules. Fructose, sucrose, glucose, all sugar molecules. It doesn't matter where they come from, the sugar molecules are the same. So orange crush soda versus orange juice, your body is going to react the same. You'll get more vitamins with the orange juice, but that's about it. Will still be stored as fat. Guess where orange juice gets stored? Around your belly. Because it's so much sugar all at once. Insulin is stimulated, is produced. It clears that blood sugar out. Stored as fat, particularly fructose. High fructose corn syrup. This is the same. It's going to be the same as like a glass of juice that is fructose. Fructose only comes from fruit. Fructose cannot be stored in the muscle, cannot be stored in the liver. Fructose is only stored as fat. So when you're having juice or you're juicing anything, immediately when I work with a client, if I know they're juicing anything, if they're juicing celery, I tell them to stop. Look up how many grams of sugar are in celery juice. You'll get your full day supply of sugar in celery juice. Now, I'm not saying that there's not other properties that are great for your body with that. It does act as a little bit of a diuretic, but that is not good for your metabolic health if you're starting off your day with celery juice. It's just not. Your body can't tell the difference. That's what I mean by sugar is sugar is sugar. So don't go down that path. It's chemically the same. There's no good sugar. There's no bad sugar. It's chemically the same. So if you have a soda or you've got, look, here, I'll show you what my daughter made last night that I had a piece of. Could you imagine if I came on here, you guys, and I said, sugar is the devil, nobody should ever eat sugar again? That's not realistic. Why would you guys follow me? That's not realistic. This is what my daughter made last night. So I got off the plane, came home. She said, Mama, I made a cake. This cake, if you had a cake, you had a banana, you had soda, it's all the same sugar molecule. It's all the same sugar molecule. Now, does this have other stuff in there that you think like, oh, there, chemicals and all that stuff? Yes, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about your blood sugar level and your sugar cravings. Okay, so fruit juice versus a smoothie versus whole fruit. I don't want to say throw your juicers away, but throw your juicers away. Nobody should be taking all the fiber out of fruit and discarding it and just taking the juice. That is like, I would say if you're over the age of 90 and you're struggling to get in enough calories, then I would say like, okay, let's do smoothies, right? Keep the fiber in there and let's add a bunch of different fruits and vegetables to a smoothie and let's get that nutrition in you. Unless you are deprived, you guys, unless you are struggling to get calories in, even smoothies are not necessarily the best thing for your health. Somebody said, I've literally never juiced. Even when my kids were little, we never had orange juice in the refrigerator. We never had apple juice, nothing like that. Because I knew even back then, like, this is not great for, why aren't they just eating the apple? Here's an apple, kids. Here's an orange. Here's a banana. Don't juice everything and throw the fiber out of it. We need all of that stuff. And when you drink orange juice, like I said, in the very top part of that small intestines, all of that sugar is already thrown into the bloodstream. It doesn't have time. It's the fiber. It's the fiber that lets that go down your small intestines, slowly gets pulled, a little bit broken down, gets pulled into the bloodstream, broken down, even lands in the large intestines, fiber does from vegetables, where it's feeding all of those good microbiome. You're having orange juice, that is the very top part of that small intestines. It's already gone. It's already in your bloodstream. It's like overload. It's too much. It's too much. So orange crushed soda and orange juice have similar effect on the body. So think about it that way. An orange crushed soda has a similar effect on the body as orange juice. So honey, agave, high fructose corn syrup they're much higher in fructose than other sugars. So that's the one thing about honey, you guys. Honey, agave, and high fructose corn syrup are higher in fructose than other sugars. Fructose is even more damaging. Not when you have it like this, but when you take out those, when you see something that is sweetened with fruit juice, run. I'm not joking. Run. Don't pick that up because that's fructose. It's fructose. Fructose only has the ability to be stored as fat. It's worse for your body, worse for your metabolic health. So in some ways, is honey worse and agave worse? It is in that same category as high fructose corn syrup because of the fructose. Honey has fructose. Agave has fructose because it's plant-based. So fructose is extra damaging. If it's not a whole fruit, this is a lemon, but if it's not a whole fruit, I have to go to the grocery store, you guys. If it's not a whole fruit and it has fructose in it, don't take it. Anything else is a dessert. Anything else is a dessert. If you want to make dessert out of honey because of all of the other benefits of that, great. But don't think that you get to eat extra of that because it's only sweetened with honey or it's only sweetened with agave. You don't. You still have to go through the process of let's do the fiber first. Let's make sure we're not let's make sure we're hydrated, right? We're not hungry. You know, we're feeding the right thing. What are we addressing? Are we hungry or are we thirsty? Make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you're sleeping well. Make sure your stress is down. All of that stuff affects what are you reaching for. Are you reaching for this? If you're sleep deprived, you're more likely to reach for this. If you're in a high stress situation, you're more likely to reach for this. If you have crashed your blood sugar level through this mess, right, of not eating things in the right order or not having enough fiber that slows down the way that sugar gets pulled through the small intestines, if you're still in this mess, this is what you're going to be reaching for. Not a piece of celery. You don't want celery when you're down here. So head it all off at the pass. That's why when I did that one show, oh my gosh, it's already 1:08. Oh, what am I doing? I gotta go. I don't really have to go, but this is a long one. But when I did that show on Wake Up With Me, that showed you how I do all of that stuff in the beginning of the day, it's kind of the same way. If you really want really great metabolic health and you want to stop those sugar cravings before they start, what you put in your body first thing, and I don't mean first thing in the morning, I mean when you break your fast, because I'm not a breakfast person. I've been doing intermittent fasting for 30 plus years. There's a lot of benefits to intermittent fasting. I've done a whole live show on that, so you can find that in the story highlights on Instagram under live shows, and go back and look at some of those things in terms of like, how do you look at the Wake Up With Me thing. And I talk a lot about what you do first thing, how you approach your day first thing in the morning makes a giant difference. How you approach your first meal, that break fast, not breakfast, but how you break your fast has a giant effect on your blood sugar level and those cravings in the future. Now, if you think that you didn't learn anything from here, I've got another thing that's going to kind of blow your mind. Well, I was going to talk about this, which I was a little bit disappointed with, to be honest with you. This was out of, I think this was on Healthline, which normally they're really kind of on point with it, but they missed a lot of things in here in terms of the stuff that they were recommending for sugar cravings. But I can get to that tomorrow. I'm going to be live again tomorrow, you guys, at 12. And I'm going to get to some of these questions when I can. Maybe I can try to do these tomorrow. Okay, but if you did not learn anything, I'm going to teach you something that might blow your mind. If you can get a tongue scraper, this is just a metal tongue scraper. They're very, very inexpensive. Even a metal tongue scraper is going to make a giant difference in what you're craving, because all of that stuff lives in our tongue. Like we eat this cake, or we eat the sweet stuff. We eat the sugar. We eat anything. It's amazing how long that stays on your taste buds for days. For days. Doesn't matter if you brush your teeth. Doesn't matter anything. It stays a lot. Scrape your tongue off. You're going to see that your cravings will start going down. Great for your microbiome, right? Don't kill everything with Listerine, but scrape your tongue off. Get rid of the stuff that you ate the day before that could be influencing what that microbiome is the whole system, right? All of that, all of those good bugs. It could be determining what you're craving the next day. So if you have slipped and found yourself face planted in a quart of Ben & Jerry's, have that fiber immediately, but then that night when you are brushing your teeth, scrape your tongue down. Get rid of all of that stuff that's in your mouth that you can't get that from brushing alone. The next morning, scrape your tongue down. Start off in a good state, right? Okay, you guys, that's all I got. Just remember the crave control. I'm going to talk a little bit about this tomorrow. This is a great source. I have a lot of clients on this crave control, and it really kind of helps. It's L-glutamine, it's L-tyrosine, it's a lot, there's chromium, it's a lot of different stuff that kind of helps those cravings before they start. I have a lot of clients that take 4 of these in the morning, and they've lost a ton of weight because they've gotten to manage their sugar cravings. So sugar cravings, carbs, even drugs and alcohol, this works with those same neurotransmitters and actually boosts your mood a little bit. This is available on shop.liveyoung.com. shop.liveyounglifestyle.com, or you can just comment when I post this, comment supplements. In the comment section below, comment supplements. It'll bring you right to that shop, and then you can just check your DMs. This is the fiber lean that I talked about. But again, any fiber that you have before, mine, you know, I'm not going to say mine is far superior, but it kind of is. The type of fiber that I use in this. But if you start with those veggies first, start with your veggies first. Not only are you going to combat those sugar cravings, but you're going to be in a lot better metabolic health. And somebody just commented supplements here. Josie, when I post this to my main feed, comment supplements. I'm going to post it right now. Okay, I'm going to get off here, you guys. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow at 12. I'll let you know a little bit later on in the day what I'm going to do, because I'm thinking I might microneedle live my whole face on camera. Does that sound like something that you guys would be interested in? Normally, I only save that for my subscription club, that $9.99 a month club. That's my Live Young subscription club. But I'm thinking tomorrow, if I have to look at my calendar and if it's the right time for me to microneedle my face, I might just do it. And as I said, yes, I might just do it on live tomorrow and post it to my main feed so that you guys have an opportunity to see the inside out, outside in aspect of aging. I talk a lot about health, right? Optimal health from the inside out, but I also address it from the outside in, because skin is our largest organ, and it is that organ that's associated with our self-esteem. So I do a lot of stuff like microneedling and stuff. Okay, when I post this to my main feed, that's when you want to comment the word supplements, and it'll bring you to that site. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 12. Have a great rest of your Saturday. Okay, bye.